It's a beautiful day in Puna today. I just got back from the Lalani garage sale. That's the pretty, the really pretty torch ginger from Stacy. That philodendron, which it's kind of struggling. I don't know what its problem is, but it's not doing so well. There's that pretty orchid that I kind of thought was totally dead. There's some more blooms getting ready to come. I was actually just reading online yesterday how to take starts of these, and I don't think these are going to be very like you literally just cut off one of the things and stick it in the ground and it starts going again. Uh, do you see Ren Lee? She's down there sleeping, doing something. The Pua Kinny sure is going crazy. Joe was very, very impressed with this tree and how many blooms are on it. And I told her I dumped like a pound of fertilizer. The pineapples. So there's the one that's been going. That's one of the new ones. And then there's one of the ones. It almost seems that once they start turning red, that they're going to shoot a bloom up. So it's staying nice and weeded after Sharon and I weeded everything. The big lobster claws, they're like getting really, really tall, and they're doing good. All of these ones that are, I've got to get out here and weed, but look at all the new ones coming up, like down in the ground. There's so many new ones that are starting to come up, so that's going to be a really nice bed. These are those orchids that smell like vanilla. And those were a nice thing. So this is the area that I'm going to get all cleared out. And I'm not going to clear it too much, but I do want to chop everything down, get the root or the bases of the trees, the ohia trees, all uncovered. Hopefully it's not going to be too terribly rocky back there or anything, that we can actually maintain it with the lawnmower. So it looks like that's one of those crap bushes that needs pulled. I'll do that. And that ohia tree has, Joe told me the name of the fern. It's like ohuli, which is the native fern, that vining Hawaiian fern that's kind of everywhere. There's that stuff. That little begonia from Stacy is doing well. It's got little blooms all over it. That guy's really not growing a whole lot. Everything in here looks really good. Joe told me these are called Mickey Mouse anthuriums because they look like Mickey Mouse. And I thought, oh, yeah, they do kind of. So everything out here is doing really well. I haven't looked at the monsteras for a couple of days, but those blooms really haven't been doing. Those blooms haven't been doing much. they're just kind of hanging in there. And they're supposed to like start opening up in each individual little cluster or something. Start separating, and you like pull those out like cubes of cheese or something. The pigs got it down the street when I was on my way down the street this morning. I saw all sorts of fresh pig messes. The rainbow eucalyptus are looking good. They're definitely, those are probably a third, if not twice as tall. And they're totally fine, totally doing well. I'd like to figure out a way to get those starts out of there and plant those traveler palm starts somewhere else, but we will see. There's the one I was telling you, is like, that one's doing really well and has really kind of taken off. Here's the bed that I lined with the rocks. There's dragonwing begonias back there in that corner, and then the New Guinea impatiens. It does really look a lot nicer. That's a nice flower bed. And there are some, the elephant ears must be doing something, because those two little guys have traveled from this plant, and you know, there's quite a bit of, that's a good foot or more that they've traveled. I'll start weed whacking from like right about here and just open that area up. There's the dead ohia tree. So one of them is alive and one is dead. That one I'll cut. I've got Donald's chainsaw. These bananas are, that one looks rough. This one's actually starting to look like something for sure. I think the citrus tree is probably done blooming. I don't see any blooms on it, but man, there were probably 100 blooms the other day on the citrus tree. And there's a little baby orange starting now that it's done. That bed needs weeded badly, but everything's doing really well in it. The bird of paradise that we bought at Home Depot, they're doing really well. The one Stacy gave me is still not recovered, and I think I might have to just chop that to the ground and let it start over. But those are the beehive gingers. They're coming up. The heliconia, that's all going good. Somebody's up there getting into something, perhaps a skink, but she's on something for sure. I keep looking at these guys almost every day, and we finally have, there's a little bloom starting. So those are gonna, I'm really curious as to what those orchids are gonna ultimately look like. There's all sorts of stuff coming up through here now, and this is all stuff that I think was just covered up with all those palm fronds and stuff. But the two big monsteras, they're both doing pretty good, that I just cut and set in the ground. They're kind of doing all right. All the orchids, I don't think there's any new blooms on these. Some of the orchids from out back I did break down and put them up in the orchid bed. It's one of the clock vines. There's actually quite a few flowers hanging. The vine itself is looking really good. It's got leaves on it and it looks pretty good. What are you getting into? What are you getting into? So the orchid bed up here. Those are some of those air orchids that I took from out back and just kind of set them in the crevices. We'll see if they do anything. This is that very first orchid that we bought from her that had the pink or the purple, and it's doing all sorts of like weird stuff down at the, I don't know whether those are new growths or who knows, but all of this, that's the orchid from the Otsuka Orchid Gallery that was just busting at the seams to get out. And then a couple more. I'm going to go tomorrow. I'll go tomorrow. Because I've got all of her pots and like she sent me home with a tray. And I'll take it back and maybe buy a few more. But all of that stuff is doing really well. This guy's doing good. This is the first day it hasn't had any blooms on it, or actual blooms open, but it's covered in blooms. Come on, let's walk out back. Let's walk out back. All this nonsense. The coconut is growing. I don't know about, I looked at that canna lily the other day. It's got like new growth at the top, or it's got new shoots, but man, that's the first canna lily I've ever had that just hasn't been blooming nonstop from the time it was planted. So the little hibiscus has a nice pink bloom on it today. This guy that just seems to be growing, but no blooms. It'll bloom sooner or later. I actually think it's doing pretty good, although it does look like somebody's eating it. There is, why can't I find it? There it is. There's the rainbow eucalyptus. And that one's really, they're all taken off and doing well. So I don't think they have any diseases or anything on them, mites or anything. All of this stuff is starting to take off. There were obviously tea plants in there that were underneath the plastic that I ripped up. All this stuff. There's some of the blooming orchids. The jade vine, you can see it's growing. I'll see how far it is into here. The other day I was looking at it, and I mean it's definitely up in there, so it's doing well. I think everything is doing absolutely just fine. That hibiscus has a ton of blooms on it. A pretty orange one. The bananas. We had a new little banana come up the other day that I noticed. And it's actually been growing very, very quickly. See that little guy? That one just popped out of nowhere. But I think they're all. And there's the bloom. It's getting bigger. I think those are going to be fun. It looks actually like there's another little one coming out of the ground down there. So, good thing that we have security now. Oh. An avocado. I will put that in my pocket, and I knew there were a couple avocados up there. It looks pretty rough, but I'll wash it and try it for later. That orange tree was full of blooms last week. And passion flower vine. I mean, it's definitely clung itself to the twine now, and it's got plenty of blooms. The other day there must have been 10 blooms on it. It was very pretty. The woods. We have patio furniture out back, so we can sit outdoors. The avocado tree, now that it's all cleared out, and I'll show you some of the, here's a little orange. All of the good oranges or all of the good tangerines are up top now. I can't get to any of them. But there's a little baby. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of them. Some of them are getting pretty big. There's one, I see one up there that's about the size of a gumball or something. But yeah, this is like kind of staying all nice. At least I can mow this area now. You know, drive the mower in there and and these guys, all the leaves have came back. There aren't any blooms on it. That one, all the leaves are back on it too and coming out. But it's not blooming. I did fertilize them all, and I'm sure it'll come out. Here's that Tahitian hibiscus, and it has been a profuse bloomer. You can see there's some blooms on the ground. There's Another big one getting ready to open up. So it's been doing really, really well. Man, I need to get out here and pull some weeds, like stuff like that. That's just weedy. A lot of this stuff that's coming up is actually this vine. And there aren't a whole lot of blooms on it today. The ohia trees got some nice blooms on it. But that is about it. There's the angel's trumpet. And it's doing much, much better now that it was cut. One of the runners was cut back. I see a bloom on it. Actually, I see 2 blooms. So it's doing really well. And all the little pots inside seem to be doing good. You can't really see them a whole lot. All of that stuff, when the time comes that it all just overgrows, we can pull all of that stuff and plant it wherever we want in the yard and start over. So, okay, I think that's it. Talk to you soon. Bye.